What happened to Manfred Mann?
Man Hug Blues Brothers was founded in London by keyboardist Manfred Mann and drummer/pianist Mike Hug, who met while working in a house band in Clacton-on-Sea with Graham Bond. The band was completed by Mike Vickers on guitar, also saxophone and flute, bassist Dave Richmond, and Paul Jones as lead vocalist and harmonica player, who brought a common love of jazz to the British blues explosion that was then sweeping London's clubs. They had changed their name to Manfred Mann the Manfreds by this point. They quickly gained notice for their unusual sound while performing throughout late 1962 and early 1963. The group signed with His Master's Voice in March 1963, changing their name to Manfred Mann at the request of their label's producer John Burgess, and began the record output that July with the slow blues instrumental single Why Should We Not, which they performed on their first television appearance on a New Year's Eve show. It did not chart, and neither did its follow-up with vocals Cock-a-Hoop. Overdub musical souling on woodwinds, vibes, harmonica, and second piano added weight to the group's sound and highlighted their jazz-inspired technical skill. The trio was invited to write a new theme song for the ITV pop music television show Ready Steady Go in 1964. They answered with 54321, which went to number 5 on the UK singles chart thanks to weekly television exposure. Richmond departed the band shortly after 54321, but he would sometimes record with them afterwards. The first of several changes occurred when he was replaced by Jones' buddy Tom McGuinness. After another self-penned success, Hubble Bubble, Toil and Trouble, the band went gold with Do Wah Diddy Diddy, a copy of the Exciters' number 78 Hot 100 smash from earlier that year. The song topped the charts in the United Kingdom, Canada, and the United States. With the success of Do Wah Diddy Diddy, the group's hits shifted away from the jazzy blues-based music of their early years and towards a pop mix that continued to produce big singles from cover material. They reached number 3 in the UK with another girl group cover, Sha La La, originally by the Shirelles, which also charted at number 12 in the United States and Canada, and followed it with the sentimental Come Tomorrow, originally by Marie Knight, but both were noticeably lighter in texture than their earlier work. In the meanwhile, B-sides and 4-song EPs include original material and instrumental solos. On their albums, the group also returned to jazz and R&B themes. Their first, 1964's The Five Faces of Manfred Mann, includes standards such as Smokestack Lightning, while their second and final with this lineup, Man Made, includes several instrumentals and a version of Stormy Monday Blues with novelties. With a version of Maxine Brown's Oh No, Not My Baby, they launched a new era of profoundness and refinement in their solo arrangements. The trio began their streak of hits with Bob Dylan songs With God on Our Side, a tune on the best-selling EP, The One in the Middle, before hitting number 2 in the UK with If You Gotta Go, Go Now. The EP's title tune was the last self-written song by Jones, and the band's last R&B workout to enter the top 10 singles in the UK. The streak culminated with John Burgess's second UK number 1 hit, Pretty Flamingo. The trio had accomplished an early jazz rhythm and blues fusion, later had taken pop music in stride, but they couldn't compete with Paul Jones' planned solo career as a singer and actor, or Mike Vickers' symphonic and instrumental aspirations. Jones intended to leave the band once a successor was found, but stayed for another year, during which Vickers quit. McGuinness switched to guitar, his original instrument, contributing the distinctive National steel guitar to If You Gotta Go, Go Now, and Pretty Flamingo, and was replaced on bass by Jack Bruce, who had previously played for the Graham Bond organization for a brief stint with John Mayall's Blues Breakers. Bruce performed it on Pretty Flamingo and the EP instrumental Asylum, for which both he and wind instrumentalists Henry Lothar and Lynn Dobson were included in the group's Sleeve Shot, which launched the group's experimentation with instrumental renditions of pop songs. Klaus Vormann took his position. EMI quickly released an EP of previously unreleased 1963-1966 era songs titled As Was, a pun on the title of their new album at the time, As Is, from 1966. A hits compilation, Man-Made Hits from 1966, an instrumental compilation LP that included one unissued instrumental track, Soul of Man 1967, and most controversially, They used session musicians to finish the unfinished track You Gave Me Somebody to Love, which reached number 36 in the UK singles chart, upsetting the band. Hence, McGuinness's Ride Comet, Manfred's disowned new single on the sleeve of their next studio album for their new record label. In July 1966, Jones was replaced by Mike DeBow, and the group switched labels to Fontana Records, where Shel Talmy produced them. Their first Fontana single, a cover of Bob Dylan's Just Like a Woman, was released in July and charted in the UK at number 10 as well as a number 1 in Sweden. As Is was released in October of that year as well. The group's improved studio mastery overshadowed its jazz, soul, and blues roots. The following few songs, Semi-Detached, Suburban Mr. James, and Ha Ha Said the Clown, also charted in the top 5. Instrumental Assassination, another instrumental EP set, was released in December. This had a founding member Dave Richmond on double bass but no Mike DeBow, implying that the sessions took place earlier in 1966. When released as a single, an instrumental version of Tommy Roe's Sweet Pea barely reached number 36, while the follow-up Randy Newman's So Long Dad with its complex keyboard arrangement missed the top 20 entirely. Thus, with the exception of Ha Ha Said the Clown, which entered the UK singles chart early in 1967, 1967 was mainly an unproductive year in the charts for the group. There was no album because Mann and Hug pursued other directions of their career, but their record label did assemble the UK budget-priced album What a Man. A largely instrumental compilation contained A-sides, B-sides, and instrumental EP pieces from a few recent hits. The next year, 1968, saw the release of 2 albums, the Man Hug soundtrack to the film Up the Junction in February, from which an edited title track and the rare B-side Sleepy Hollow were released as an unsuccessful UK single, and Mighty Garvey in July. They had a huge hit with Mighty Quinn, their third UK number 1 and third successful Dylan tune, which peaked at number 10 in the US. The following song, John Simon's My Name is Jack, was returned in June 1968 because the US label Mercury Records objected to the word Super Spade in the lyrics, which allude to a Haight-Ashbury drug dealer. The release was postponed for a week while the offending name was re-recorded as Superman, although the UK hit single version kept the original lyric. Fox on the Run, their December 1968 release, peaked at number 5 in the United Kingdom. The trio disbanded in 1969, frustrated with the constraints and image of being viewed solely as a hit singles band, with their last 2 albums failing to chart. Mann and Hug were already creating commercial jingles at the time of the group's dissolution, but they continued to collaborate on a group format with Manfred Mann Chapter 3, an experimental jazz rock outfit Mann described as an overreaction to the Manfred Mann's group Hit Factory. For a brief period, their musical worlds collided. The same theme was utilized in a TV cigar advertising, a long track from Chapter 3's first album, Traveling Lady, and a B-side, the reverse of the old group's last single. However, the new group was short-lived, and by 1971, after releasing a second album and perhaps an unreleased or incomplete third, they had disintegrated, and Mann had created a new group. This new band's original lineup was Mick Rogers on guitar and vocals, Manfred Mann on organ, synthesizer, and vocals, Colin Paddington on bass and guitar, and Chris Slade on drums and vocals. In its early beginnings, the band was simply billed as Manfred Mann, implying that it was a continuation of the 1960s ensemble. In 1971, the foursome as Manfred Mann issued their debut song Please Mrs. Henry. Their second single, Randy Newman's Living Without You, was issued by Manfred Mann in Europe, but by Manfred Mann's Earth Band in the United States, where it became a modest chart hit. From 1972 to 1974, the band name Manfred Mann's Earth Band was used on all albums by this group. Thus, they are regarded as a distinct band from Manfred Mann. In 1976, Manfred Mann's Earth Band had by far their biggest hit with Blinded by the Light, which reached number 1 in the US and Canada as well. It also charted in Australia at number 11, number 8 in New Zealand, number 19 in the Netherlands, and number 6 in the UK. And Manfred Mann's Earth Band also had another minor hit in the US with Runner, which reached number 22 on the charts. The Manfreds, DeBow, Hug, Jones, and McGuinness performed a rendition of Mighty Quinn for Klaus Vormann's debut solo compilation, A Sideman's Journey in 2009, attributed to Vorman and Friends. Starting All Over Again was released in 2009 by Paul Jones on Continental Record Services, aka CRS in Europe, and Collector's Choice in the United States. Eric Clapton, Jake Andrews, Ernie Watts, Percy Sledge, Tony Marsico, Michael Thompson, Tom Morgan Jr., Orrin Waters, and Luther Waters star in the film, which was produced by Carla Olson in Los Angeles. Jones and his harmonica were featured in a song at a Joe Bonamassa concert at the Royal Albert Hall in London on May 4, 2009. Jones appeared on Nick Vernier's band I'm Your Kingpin in the same month, playing harmonica. He appeared on 2 versions of Nick Vernier's band's You're Wrong from the session CDs in 2010. During the 2010 general election, Tom McGinnis endorsed the Labour Party, and while on tour, he endorsed Bob Blizzard's campaign. Blizzard was the sitting Labour MP for Waveney at the time. However, he was not re-elected either in that election or in 2015. Carla Olson produced the Paul Jones album Suddenly I Like It, which was published in 2015. Joe Bonamassa and Jules Holland are among the album's special guests. Jones is the current president of the National Harmonica League, and in 2010, 2011, and 2012, he was named Harmonica Player of the Year at the British Blues Awards, as well as Blues Broadcaster of the Year and a Lifetime Achievement Award. And in 2022, Manfred Mann's Earth Band still touring. Manfred Mann is still alive and well as of the recording of this video, which is in April 2022. And they have some shows in Germany, Denmark, Norway, and those are all the shows right now, but there may be more coming up in the future, depending on as long as Manfred Mann stays healthy. But I hope he comes back to the US just one last time. I doubt it, but you never know. And that's what happened to Manfred Mann, the band, and the person. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and let me know some of your favorite Manfred Mann songs. It could be from Manfred Mann's Earth Band, Manfred Mann's solo instrumentals, or it could even be from the 60s, which is the picture in the thumbnail, the picture you're probably seeing right now. So thank you again for watching. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next video.